Welcome back everyone. Welcome to the videos related to goods and services tax. So in the previous video, we discussed about the concept of supply under GST and what is the purpose of understanding the concept of supply. So now onwards, we will discuss about certain concepts like place of supply of goods, place of supply of services, value of supply and time of supply. GST is a destination based tax, that is, goods or services will be taxed at the place where they are consumed and not at the origin. So, the state where they are consumed will have the right to collect the GST amount. Thus, the concept of place of supply becomes crucial under GST. So the concepts like value of supply, time of supply and place of supply answers the questions of when, where and how much should be levied as GST amount. So the concept of place of supply is very crucial in GST to determine the type of tax or the component of tax to be levied, whether it is CGST, IGST, SGST, etc. So, in case of place of supply, we have place of supply defines whether the transaction will be counted as intrastate or interstate and are accordingly SGST, CGST and IGST are levied. So, in order to identify or in order to decide which component of tax is to be charged, we need to know whether that supply is an intrastate supply or interstate supply. So, in this context, the place of supply is very important and crucial. The place of supply helps to know the nature of supply. And now, if the supply is intrastate, then the tax to be levied is CGST and SGST. And if the supply is interstate, what is the tax to be charged? It is IGST. That is Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Therefore, under the GST regime, the point of taxation, that is the liability to pay the GST, will arise at the time of supply as determined for goods and services. The concept of time of supply and the value of supply will be discussed in the coming videos. So now, the place of supply concept is classified into two, that is place of supply of goods as well as place of supply of services. So we know that the expansion of GST itself is goods and services tax. So the place of supply includes both the place of supply of goods as well as services. So now let's discuss about the place of supply of goods in this video. The first provision is regarding provisions for determination of place of supply of goods in GST other than import and export. So, how to determine the place of supply or where the goods are supplied? How to determine that place in case of goods other than in the case of import and export? Okay. So, under this category, we have 5 different situations and 5 different provisions as to how the place of supply will be determined, along with examples. So, the first situation is where the supply involves the movement of goods, whether by the supplier or the recipient or by any other person. So, in this case, understand that there is a supply. Supply can be anything, like it can be a sale or it can be a lease, like that, which we all already discussed in previous classes. Okay, so there is a supply here, and this particular supply involves the movement of goods. There is movement of some goods. Okay, so this movement of goods, whether by the supplier, the movement is done either by the supplier or the recipient or any other person. So remember that in simple terms, supplier here refers to the seller and recipient here refers to the buyer. Okay. So in this case, in this nature of supply, what will be the place of supply of goods? When a situation like this comes, what will be the place of supply of goods? Let's see. The place of supply will be the location of the goods at the time at which the movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Okay, so suppose you are the supplier, I am the recipient. So when the movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient, that means when the goods come to me, it terminates its movement, it stops its movement. So when the goods are ready for delivery, that particular location of the goods will be the place of supply in this case. Okay, so I hope you got an idea about the concept, the first situation regarding the place of supply of goods. So let's see an example now. Mr. Raj of Mumbai, Maharashtra sells 10 TV sets to Mr. Vijay of Nagpur, Maharashtra. So note that both Mr. Raj and Mr. Vijay belongs to the same state. Okay. So the tax to be levied can be SGST and CGST respectively. So what is the location or what is the place of supply of goods? So in this case, there involves a movement of goods. That means 10 TV sets are sold by Mr. Raj. So the supplier sells 10 TV sets to another person who is the recipient, that is Mr. Vijay. So according to our provision, what will be the place of supply? It will be the location of the goods at the time at which the movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. So where does the movement of good stop? To the recipient, or it can be easily converted into the location of recipient. Okay, so where does the movement of good terminates in this example? It is in Maharashtra. Maharashtra, which place? The Nagpur in Maharashtra. Okay, so Mr. Raj is selling goods to Mr. Vijay, who is residing in Nagpur. So the goods become ready for delivery at Nagpur, or the goods terminates its movement in Nagpur. So the place of supply in this case will be Nagpur. Okay. So I hope you got an idea about the first situation where the supply involves a movement of goods. Okay. Now let's move to the second situation. Then what is the nature of supply here? Where the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient or any other person on the direction of a third person, whether acting as an agent or otherwise, before or during movement of goods, either by way of transfer of documents of title to the goods or otherwise. So this documents of title refers to the documents of ownership. Okay. So what does this case tells us? In this case, there is a third person, and that particular third person is directing another person for the delivery of goods. Okay, that means the goods are delivered by the supplier to a particular recipient on the direction given by a third person, on the direction given by another person. Okay, so in this case, what will be the location or what will be the place of supply? Let's see. The place of supply of goods will be the principal place of business of such third person. So principal place of business means main place of business. In some cases, a particular person may have different businesses, different places of business. Okay. So in this case, the place of supply of goods will be the principal place of business of such third person. Okay. So now let's see an example. Mr. Clean of Delhi has supplied goods to Mr. Dust of Surat, Gujarat. Okay. So during the movement of goods, Mr. Dust directed Mr. Clean to transfer the documents of title to S of Mumbai. So we have three persons involved here, and Mr. Dust is giving direction to Mr. Clean that you can give the goods or you can deliver the goods to, you can transfer the documents of the title of goods to Mr. S of Mumbai. So who is giving direction in this case? Mr. Dust. Mr. Dust is giving direction. So he is the third person giving direction to Mr. Clean, who is the supplier, and S, who is the recipient. So in this case, what will be the place of supply of goods? It will be the principal place of business of such third person. So here the third person is Mr. Dust. What is his principal place of business? That is Gujarat. Surat in Gujarat. So place of supply of goods in this case will be Gujarat. Okay. So I hope you got an idea about this second situation also, where the supply is happening on the direction of a third person by a supply to a recipient. Okay. Now we have the third situation where the nature of supply is where there is no movement of goods either by the supplier or by the recipient. So in case of certain type of goods like building, uh, some examples like plant which are fixed to the ground, there is no movement of goods happening there. So in such cases, what will be the place of supply of goods? It will be the location of such goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. So at the time of delivery of that particular good to the recipient, what will be the location of the good? That will be the place of supply. Okay. So now let's see an example, a simple example. Sales Heaven Limited in Chennai opens a new showroom in Bangalore. It purchases a building for showroom from ABC Realtors along with pre-installed workstations. So here the particular good means it is the building which is fixed to the ground, which does not involve any kind of movement. Okay, so there is no movement of goods here. And what will be the place of supply in this case? It will be the location of such good, that is the location of the building in this example at the time of delivery to the recipient. So the supplier gives or delivers the building or the good to the recipient at which place? Bangalore. Okay, so that is the place of supply. The place of supply will be Bangalore. Okay, so this is a simple situation, simple case. So first situation deals with there is movement of goods. Second situation on the direction of a third person, and third one we have there is no movement of goods. Then let's say the fourth situation. So fourth situation is also comparatively simple. The fourth situation is where the goods are assembled or installed at site. So we know that in case of some certain machinery, plant or equipment, it will be assembled or installed in the particular site itself. Okay, so in that particular situation, what will be the place of supply of such goods? That is our point of discussion. So the place of supply will be the place of such installation or assembly. So where that installation is happening or where that assembling is happening will be the place of supply of such goods. Okay. Let's see an example. Strong Iron and Steel Limited in Jharkhand asked SAAS Constructions in West Bengal to build a blast furnace in their Jharkhand steel plant. So where is this particular plant installed or assembled? Installed, that is in Jharkhand. So what will be the place of supply? The place of supply will be Jharkhand. Okay, is that clear? Now let's move to the fifth situation, where the goods are supplied on board a conveyance like vessel, aircraft, train, or motor vehicle. When a particular good is supplied on a conveyance like vessel, aircraft, train, or motor vehicle, what will be the place of supply of goods? So the place of supply will be where the goods are supplied on board a conveyance like a vessel, aircraft, train, or motor vehicle. The place of supply will be the place where from where the goods are onboarded. Okay, so from where the goods are onboarded. That means, let's say an example now. So in the example, Mr. Clean, a flight caterer of Delhi, has loaded food and drinks on Air India aircraft at Delhi on its flight from Mumbai to Chandigarh via Delhi for passengers on board. So, what will be the place of supply in this case? I told you, place of supply will be the place from where the onboarding of the goods has taken place. So, here the caterer of Delhi has loaded food and drinks on Air India aircraft at Delhi on its flight from Mumbai to Chandigarh. So, from where does onboarding take place? It is from Delhi. So, onboarding took place from Delhi. So, place of supply will be the place of onboarding, that is Delhi. Okay. So, these are the main five situations where place of supply of goods are determined, and these are the different situations where place of supply of goods can be determined in order to identify which type of tax to be charged. So see, for example, in this case we have Delhi. Okay, place of supply is in Delhi, and on its flight from Mumbai to Chandigarh via Delhi for passengers on board. And in the previous example we had a situation of CGST and SGST coming, since they both the supplier and recipient belong to the same state, and where where the supplier and the recipient belongs to different states, there comes the importance of IGST. Okay, so I hope this concept is clear for you. So now let's see some other things which cannot be included in the five sessions that we have discussed. So, sixth one is where the place of supply of goods cannot be determined. So, what will we do if we cannot determine the place of supply of goods? How will we determine it? So, we will determine the place of supply of those goods to be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. So, we will look into how it will be described, or how it will be prescribed in the GST Act, the GST rules and provisions. So, according to that, we will decide the place of supply of goods of which the place of supply cannot be determined. Okay. So, summing up all the six situations that we have went through. So, the first situation involved a movement of goods. So, the place of supply will be the location where movement of goods terminates for delivery. And second situation was regarding the supply of goods on the direction of a third person. And third situation does not involve any movement of goods. And fourth one, the goods are assembled or installed at site. Fifth one, the goods are supplied on board a conveyance. So in that case, the location at which goods are taken on board, that will be the place of supply of goods. And the last one is a residual provision. So that is when the place of supply of goods cannot be determined, it will be determined according to the law made by the government on the recommendation of the GST Council. Okay. So I hope all these situations are clear to you regarding the place of supply of goods. So remember the concept of place of supply, and it is classified into two: place of supply of goods and place of supply of services. So today we discussed about the place of supply of goods other than import and export. Okay. So in the next video we will discuss about the place of supply of goods in the case of import and export of goods, as well as we will begin the discussion on place of supply of services. Thank you.